Hi again. Now we're going to look at the graphs page. So I've got the same file open and we are looking at graphs. So what we can do if I want to deal with graphs, again, opening a graphs page, first and foremost what we want to do is we want to insert a graph. Menu, graph entry or edit, and we're mostly dealing with functions. So f1 of x equals, and I'm going to say x cubed minus, and careful here, that minus sign is going up in the index, so I need to move right, minus 5x squared plus x plus 10. All right, pretty good. We've got a cubic function there, but I want to be able to see all of it. So if I go to menu and then 4, which is zoom, and you can see there's a lot of different options here. I'm just going to zoom out. I want to center the graph over here, and we've zoomed out. And zoom out one more time. Oh, not sure what's happened there. Let's zoom out. Second time, there we go. We can see the whole graph. Just press escape to get out of whatever command you're currently using. Now, let's say that I don't actually like this graph. I made a mistake. I want to change things. We go in, we do menu, graph entry or edit function, and notice that it now says f2 of x. If I just scroll up, I can change back to f1 of x again. Let's change my 10 to a 9. Press enter, and we've graphed once again. The other thing that we looked at with graphing is restricting our domain. So let's go in and let's edit our graph again. So menu, graph entry or edit, function, back to f1, and to edit or to restrict the domain, we do control equals, we get ourselves to this vertical line, enter, and then here we put in whatever our restrictions are. So let's say I want x from -1 less than or equal to x less than or equal to, I don't know, about 5 maybe. Less than or equal to 5, enter, and that restricts my graph, that restricts the domain nicely. So what can we do when we have a graph like this? We can find any particular value on the graph. So let's say I want to find out what value the graph has when x is 3. Easiest way of doing that is menu, trace, graph trace. You can see it creates a spot or a point on the graph that you're tracing, and you can see down at the bottom down here the point that we're currently looking at. I said I want to look at x equals 3. So just type in 3. You'll notice that this dialog box comes up here. So 3, press enter, and it's telling me when x is 3, y is -6. Other things that we can do if we're not looking for a particular value is looking again at menu and analyze graph. So 0, maximum, and minimum are 3 of the main things that we're going to look at. I'm just going to do an example of maximum because the others are basically the same process. So for the maximum, notice that it gives me this moving line. That's because in order for the graph or the calculator to calculate where the maximum is, we have to tell it it's somewhere in this area. So we can see that our maximum is up here. I need to move lower bound, so I need to move to the left of that point. It doesn't matter how far to the left I am. Click, and then I need to move over to the right. So somewhere, doesn't matter where, as long as I am to the right of the maximum. And once again, click, and you can see the point that I'm given there is the maximum value. So the x value is negative, or is 0.103, and the y value is approximately 9.05. A couple of other types of graphs that we looked at were the absolute value graph and the inverse. The inverse I'll show in a separate video because that's not something that we did in class, and it's really almost more trouble than it's worth. But the absolute value function, if we want to graph the absolute value, menu, enter another graph, and the easiest way of doing it is clicking this button over here, brings up this dialog box, and the one that's highlighted right now, that is our absolute value. And inside we can put in whatever we want, enter, and you can see the absolute value graph.